Yuya spent his life being bullied for his looks, until the day he stumbled upon a door to another world. There, he could level up, get legendary items, and bring his newfound strength back to reality, shocking everyone who once doubted him. The story begins with a girl being harassed by some men. Yuya, a boy, steps in to defend her, but the men mock him for being overweight and unattractive, eventually beating him. The police arrive, scaring the men away. The girl thanks Yuya, but he insists he's fine and walks off. We learn that Yuya's grandfather taught him to always be kind and to help those in need. However, when he returns home, we see his house covered in graffiti with cruel messages. Yuya has been bullied his entire life, even by his own parents, who favored his attractive siblings. Middle school only made things worse, as he endured regular beatings. His only solace was his grandfather, who would remind him that kindness leads to happiness. After his grandfather's death, Yuya inherited his house and savings, though his parents contested the will. They ultimately abandoned him, leaving him to live alone and work part-time to survive. As Yuya prepares to graduate, his yearbook is filled with hateful comments. On his way out, his bullies confront him, reminding him that even after graduation, he's still their errand boy. Though Yuya tries to explain he has a job to get to, the bullies beat him up. His siblings watch passively from a distance. When he finally arrives at work, his boss, frustrated by his lateness, fires him. Yuya returns home to eat a dismal meal. Overcome with frustration, he smashes the mirror, feeling hopeless about his future. In his anger, he punches a wall, which unexpectedly opens to reveal a hidden room. Inside, Yuya discovers various strange items, which he assumes are souvenirs from his grandfather's travels. He comes across a peculiar door that leads to a mysterious room. A notification suddenly appears, informing him that the door connects to another world. More notifications follow, explaining features such as the ability to store items and control access to the door. Although confused by the system, Yuya likens it to a game and checks his status, only to be disheartened by his low stats. Exploring further, Yuya confirms he's indeed in another world. He finds a note on a table, initially unable to read it, but a language skill helps him understand. The note explains that the house once belonged to a great sage who, nearing death, left it to whoever discovered it, along with all its contents. The house is protected by magic, ensuring only its new owner can enter. Yuya finds a collection of weapons in the hidden room and quickly realizes that they are extraordinary, extremely powerful items. Curious, he steps outside and attempts to practice with a sword, but ends up falling over. Despite this, he manages to learn a basic sword skill. Excited by the potential, he trains with each weapon, discovering they are all of God-tier quality, which allows him to acquire multiple skills. However, his stats remain stuck at level 1, leaving him puzzled about how to increase them. He decides to store the weapons but is suddenly confronted by a terrifying monster. The creature, a level 300 bloody ogre, attacks. Yuya panics but soon realizes his house is protected by magic. The ogre repeatedly smashes into the magical barrier, even trying to uproot a tree to break through, but fails. Determined to fight back, Yuya hurls a spear at the monster. To his astonishment, the spear strikes with perfect accuracy, killing the ogre in a single hit. The spear then returns to him and the monster vanishes, leaving behind several items. Instantly, Yuya's level jumps to 100, and he's shocked by his new stats. After assigning his skill points, Yuya decides to end his adventure for the day. As he prepares to leave, a cash-out option appears, allowing him to convert the monster's drops into money, which confuses him, but he happily accepts. That night, Yuya undergoes a dramatic transformation, and when he wakes up, he finds his body completely changed, his clothes no longer fit. His broken mirror prevents him from seeing the full extent of the change, so he searches for new clothes. In the sage's house, he discovers magical clothing that adjusts to fit him and provides powerful bonuses. Curious about the sage's identity, Yuya explores the garden but is suddenly attacked by a level 200 monster. This time, he calmly retrieves his spear and easily defeats the creature, which drops some rare items, including a necklace that restores his magic power. Yuya levels up again, gaining a new presence detection skill, and reaches level 150. He even tries the coffee slime left behind by the monster, finding it surprisingly tasty. With the money he earned, Yuya decides to order a new school uniform in preparation for starting high school. From then on, he spends every day in the other world, enjoying his time and gradually overcoming his depression. He continues to train and explore, becoming more skilled and knowledgeable. When an elite goblin attacks his home, Yuya, now highly skilled, fights it off effortlessly, using his new abilities to destroy the goblin. Time passes, and the first day of high school arrives. Yuya's transformation astonishes everyone, even his siblings, who are in awe of him. In class, his former bullies approach him but fail to recognize him, assuming he's a new transfer student. When Yuya reveals his identity to his bullies, they are shocked and refuse to believe him. He heads to the bathroom, where he finally sees his reflection for the first time since his transformation, leaving him completely stunned. After class, his brother and sister confront him, amazed by his drastic change. They mock him, calling him a loser, but just then, a limo pulls up, and the girl he saved earlier steps out looking for him. Yuya is confused, and she reminds him of how he had saved her. She introduces herself as Kori and explains that she looked into him to thank him properly. Kori invites Yuya to join Josei Academy, a prestigious school for the elite. We learn that Kori is on the student council, and her father is the chairman of the academy. Though flattered, Yuya feels he's not smart enough to attend such a school. His brother interrupts, demanding to join the academy, boasting that both he and their sister excel in academics and sports. However, Kori declines, pointing out that they had insulted Yuya, the person she considers a hero. She reveals that she knows all about their bad behavior toward him. Kori further explains that Josei Academy values personality as much as academics, reassuring Yuya that he would fit right in. She offers to give him a tour, leaving his siblings in disbelief. At the academy, Yuya is amazed by the students' excellence. He meets Tsukasa, Kori's father, who thanks him for saving his daughter. Yuya insists it was no big deal, but Kori stresses that Yuya was the only one who stepped in to help her. Tsukasa invites Yuya to join the academy, even offering to cover his tuition as a token of gratitude. Still, Yuya hesitates, thinking he doesn't belong since the school only accepts geniuses. Tsukasa reassures him, explaining that geniuses are just people who have found the right path to success. He encourages Yuya to discover his own talents through challenges and fun, reminding him that he's still young. Tsukasa suggests that Yuya try the school for a day. A teacher named Sawada, a renowned scientist whose classes are known for being both popular and easy to follow, is introduced to Yuya. Nervous but hopeful, Yuya prepares for his first class, convincing himself that nothing could be worse than his old school. As he introduces himself, he notices the other students are stunned, but to his surprise, it's because of how handsome he looks now, not because of his background. He sits at the back and shares a book with the girl next to him, who seems a bit cold, making Yuya worry she dislikes him already. Kori is concerned about whether Yuya will fit in, but as the class progresses, Yuya finds it normal, although the students are much more active and engaged. During the break, several students approach him, asking if he's an idol or if he has a girlfriend. A student named Ryo steps in to save him from the onslaught and takes Yuya to the cafeteria. Yuya is amazed by the menu, and when he finds out everything is free, he feels like he's in a dream. They sit down with another student named Shingo, and soon the conversation turns to anime. Yuya is pleasantly surprised to discover that the students share similar interests with him. As he eats, he notices everyone staring at him, assuming it's because he's wearing a different uniform. Shingo asks Yuya if he belongs to any clubs, but Yuya admits he doesn't. Ryo, though skilled in many sports, also doesn't belong to a club because he can't decide which one to join. Shingo, however, is part of the gaming club, and Yuya is surprised that video game consoles are allowed at school. Shingo explains that it's fine as long as they don't play during class. Talking about video games, Yuya begins to feel more at ease with his new friends. At the end of the day, Yuya meets Tsukasa and admits he had a great time, deciding that he wants to join the school. As he leaves, he runs into Kori, who asks if he's made his decision. When he tells her he's joining, she's thrilled and invites him to hang out after school. They explore some popular shops, and Yuya wonders if this is where Kori typically hangs out with her friends. Kori reveals that she doesn't socialize much because people often feel intimidated by her family and her father's reputation, but she assures Yuya that he's different. Nervous but excited, Yuya follows her suggestion to try a crepe shop. Looking at the prices, Yuya is relieved he's been earning money from the other world. They enjoy their crepes, and Yuya contemplates trying other flavors but stops himself, worried that overeating might return him to his previous shape. He asks Kori how she recognized him despite his transformation. She explains that, although he's slimmer, his eyes remain the same. Corey offers Yuya a bite of her crepe, and though he's a bit embarrassed, he accepts. Noticing his shyness, Yuya offers her a bite of his crepe as well, which she nervously accepts. Onlookers watch, thinking they make a cute couple. Later that night, Yuya heads back to the other world, donning a full set of armor. As he confronts the monsters, despite his fear, he cuts them down, noticing he's now leveled up to 200. However, the leveling speed has slowed significantly, so he considers venturing beyond his home to find stronger monsters. Reflecting on his time at the academy, Yuya craves new challenges. As he steps out, he suddenly hears a scream. Grabbing his spear, he rushes toward the noise. Yuya finds several soldiers brutally killed and notices a dangerous level 200 goblin general with a girl behind it. He throws his spear, but the goblin deflects it. Acting quickly, Yuya lands a powerful kick, defeating the goblin. As he checks on the girl, she warns him of another goblin behind him. Yuya is knocked away, realizing this one is faster and stronger. Determined, Yuya uses his spear to vault over the goblin, then switches to a bow, firing a barrage of arrows before finishing with his sword, splitting the goblin in half. He checks on the girl, curious about the humans in this world, but she faints. Hearing men approaching, Yuya uses his invisibility skill to hide. Knights arrive, searching for the girl, who turns out to be a princess named Lexia. Back at his house, Yuya reflects on the encounter, hoping the princess is safe. Since the knights had arrived to help her, he assumes she's fine. Looking at his now dirty shirt, Yuya decides he should buy some new clothes, since he's earned enough from the other world. As he walks through the mall, people stare at him, mistaking him for an actor or model. His enchanted shirt keeps clean, but Yuya thinks he needs a variety of clothes to avoid looking the same all the time. Meanwhile, a scene unfolds at a photo shoot where a director is yelling at a manager. The manager is responsible for a model named Sho, who hasn't shown up. The manager gets a call from Sho, who says he's on his way. The director, however, is furious, complaining that Sho's lateness is disrespectful to everyone waiting, especially Mayu, the other model, who's been there all morning. The photo shoot is focused on a couple theme, and the team is struggling without the male model, Sho. Desperate to continue, the director decides to find a replacement in the mall. Meanwhile, Yuya is shopping and feeling overwhelmed by the options. When he's approached by some girls who offer to help, he politely declines, leaving them stunned. The director happens to pass by and immediately notices Yuya, convinced that he is perfect for the shoot. Yuya is nervous but agrees, realizing the team is depending on him. During the photo shoot, Yuya plays the role of the boyfriend, posing in various outfits. Although the director asks him to look sexier, Yuya struggles, but the professional model, Miyu, reassures him that he's doing well for a beginner. Yuya is captivated by Miyu's beauty and professionalism, especially since they are around the same age. As Mayu grabs onto him for a close-up shot, Yuya becomes more embarrassed, especially when the director tells her to get even closer, which draws attention from the surrounding crowd. Meanwhile, in the other world, Princess Lexia reflects on how Yuya saved her. Despite her knight's warnings about the dangers of the dark forest, she insists on returning to thank her mysterious savior, determined to find him. Her knights reluctantly agree to accompany her, although they're puzzled by her reckless behavior. Back at the mall, the photo shoot wraps up and Yuya is exhausted. Miyu thanks him again, and when Yuya chokes on his drink, she offers her handkerchief. Yuya, embarrassed by his sweat and the borrowed clothes, declines. As they talk, Yuya reflects on how he never wore fashionable clothes before and how impressed he is with Miyu's modeling skills. Miyu shares that she started modeling because she wanted to be noticed since her parents were too busy for her, and eventually continued because she enjoyed bringing happiness to her fans. She encourages Yuya, telling him to take things at his own pace and enjoy the journey. As they chat, the director takes candid photos of them, but suddenly, Sho arrives, much to the crowd's excitement. Sho immediately approaches Miyu, pushing her against the wall and asking her out for drinks. Yuya, noticing Miyu's discomfort, steps in to stop Sho. Annoyed, Sho tries to punch Yuya, but Yuya effortlessly throws him aside. The crowd is stunned, and Yuya worries that he's in trouble for attacking someone so popular. However, the onlookers cheer, thinking Yuya is incredibly cool for standing up for Miyu. Sho is bewildered by how he lost despite his boxing skills. The director, having captured everything on film, tells Sho to leave. Humiliated, Sho runs off and Miyu thanks Yuya for standing up for her, revealing that Sho had been harassing her for a while. The director mentions that Sho has always behaved badly, and this incident will likely end his modeling career. Impressed by Yuya's performance during the photo shoot, the director asks if he would consider doing more modeling in the future. Yuya, though flattered, turns down the offer, feeling he isn't good enough to be a professional. Respecting Yuya's decision, the director thanks him for saving the shoot and offers him all the clothes from the session as compensation since they can't officially pay him due to his amateur status. Although Yuya feels the experience was rewarding enough, he accepts the clothes. Miyu hopes they can work together again and wishes him well. Later in the car, the director expresses disappointment that Yuya doesn't want to continue modeling, believing Yuya could have been a star. Miyu, thinking about Yuya, blushes, and the director teases her about having feelings for him. Meanwhile, Yuya organizes his new wardrobe, and his photos from the shoot start circulating in the fashion industry. Talent agencies begin to take notice of him, including one determined woman who orders her associate to track Yuya down before other agencies can sign him, recognizing his potential from his performance alongside Miyu. In the other world, Princess Lexia and her knights are battling goblins when they suddenly find themselves overwhelmed. Just as a goblin attacks Lexia from behind, Yuya appears and effortlessly slays the monsters. Lexia, overjoyed to see her savior again, watches as Yuya dispatches the goblins with ease. After the battle, Lexia approaches Yuya and suddenly proposes marriage, shocking everyone. Her knight Owen reminds her of her royal status and warns that they know nothing about Yuya, but Lexia insists it's love at first sight. As the two argue, Yuya interrupts, suggesting they leave the dangerous forest and head to his house. The knights are amazed that Yuya actually lives in the dark forest, a place known for being treacherous. Once they arrive, Lexia formally introduces herself as the first princess of Arzelia and second in line for the throne, while Owen introduces himself as the captain of the Arzelian Knights. Lexia expresses her gratitude for Yuya saving her once again, and Yuya becomes nervous after learning her royal status. However, they reassure him that this is an informal visit since he is their savior. Lexia once again proposes marriage, saying she's been thinking about Yuya ever since he saved her. Overwhelmed by the suddenness of the proposal, Yuya tries to gently decline, which causes Lexia to reflect on how love should be full of obstacles, like in the romance novels she reads. Realizing that love shouldn't be too easy, she changes her approach and asks Yuya to start as her friend instead. Despite his nervousness, Yuya agrees, remembering his difficult past and thinking this might be a new start. Owen informs him that the King of Arzelia wishes to personally thank him for saving Princess Lexia, and has extended a royal invitation to visit the palace. Yuya hesitates at first, knowing that the trip would take 5 days, but when Owen assures him they are willing to wait for his convenience, Yuya agrees to visit at a later date. As they leave, Lexia playfully warns Yuya to prepare for her to win his heart when they meet again. Elsewhere in the royal capital, a man reports to a disfigured masked figure about the failed assassination attempt on Lexia. The assassins sent to kill her were defeated in the dark forest by monsters. The masked man, who turns out to be a member of the royal family, swears to take revenge on Lexia, determined to finish what his assassins couldn't. Back at Yuya's house, he marks his calendar for his future visit to the royal palace and prepares for his first day at the academy. As he walks to school in his new uniform, he draws the attention of passers-by, who mistake him for a famous model. Once he arrives, the director greets him warmly but is too busy to chat, encouraging Yuya to enjoy his time at school. Yuya is then introduced to his new class, and his friends Ryo and Shingo are excited to see him again. During gym class, Yuya watches a soccer game from the sidelines, impressed by a student named Roy, who scores a goal and receives cheers from all the girls. A girl named Karid approaches Yuya and asks why he isn't joining the game, but Yuya explains he doesn't have his gym clothes yet. On the field, Roy skillfully tricks the opposing team and passes the ball to his teammate Akira, who attempts a special move but accidentally kicks the ball directly at Kaidi. However, Yuya steps in and not only stops the ball but also scores a goal in the process, leaving everyone stunned by his speed and skill. Kaidi, visibly impressed, is left speechless by Raya's charm, while Akira apologizes profusely for the mishap, vowing to become her servant. Later, in the girls' locker room, Kaidi tells her classmates about the incident, and they all talk about how cool Yuya is, speculating that he might already have a girlfriend. Katie and Kaori, however, insist that nothing is confirmed. During another class, Yuya spots Kaori on the field and waves to her. But suddenly, chaos erupts as a group of delinquents known as the Red Ogres ride onto the school grounds on motorbikes, wielding bats and causing a scene. The students recognize the Red Ogres as the most dangerous gang in the area. To Yuya's shock, he sees his siblings, Yoda and Sarah, among the group. The Red Ogres target Kaori, accusing her of looking down on them and accepting Yuya into the academy, which they see as a betrayal. They plan to abduct her as revenge, even though Kaori warns them that the police are on the way. Yuya, watching the chaos unfold, is filled with fear. Despite having fought much stronger enemies in the other world, the emotional trauma from being bullied in his past renders him paralyzed. His legs shake as he struggles to gather the courage to intervene. As Yuya faces emotional paralysis when the delinquents surround Kaori, his friends worry about him, but he manages to snap himself out of it. Determined to help, Yuya opens the window and jumps out of his fourth-floor classroom, shocking everyone. He lands unharmed and charges in to confront his old bully, Ryo, who vows to teach him a lesson. Ryo sends his goons to attack Yuya, but Yuya effortlessly dodges and disarms them in an instant. When Ryo himself attacks, Yuya bypasses him, focusing on saving Kaori. Just as Yuya reaches Kaori, he's stopped by a massive delinquent named Taming, but even his brute strength doesn't faze Yuya, who tosses him aside with ease. Yuya checks on Kaori to make sure she's okay, but the boss of the gang charges at him. Yuya dodges his attack, causing the boss to lose control of his bike and crash, knocking himself out. With the police arriving, all the delinquents are arrested, and the situation calms down. Yuya ensures Kaori is all right, and she suddenly becomes weak, but Yuya catches her, sharing a brief but tender moment. Meanwhile, their leader is furious and starts choking Yuya's brother, Yoda, who was part of the Red Ogres gang, blaming him for their failure. Sarah begs for Yoda's release, but is kicked away by the gang leader. Yuya intervenes, breaking up the fight and saving Yoda. The gang leader attempts to attack Yuya, but Yuya's intimidating gaze alone is enough to scare him off. Yoda, moved by Yuya's actions, wonders why he saved him despite everything he's done in the past. Yuya explains that, despite their cruelty, they are still his family, and he couldn't just abandon them. Touched by his words, Yoda apologizes and tearfully begs for Yuya's forgiveness. As Yuya reunites with his friends, they express their amazement at his ability to jump out of the window and handle the situation so well. Yuya humbly apologizes for the trouble his past brought to the school, but his friends are just in awe of his strength and bravery. Later, Yuya ventures into the other world to explore the dark forest, recalling Owen's warning that it is the most dangerous region, filled with monsters capable of destroying entire cities. Yuya begins to wonder about the sage who once owned the house and created such powerful weapons. While wandering deeper into the forest in search of stronger monsters, he suddenly hears a cry. He spots a puppy being attacked by a massive orc. The puppy, weak and glowing with dark energy, is no match for the orc, which is revealed to be a level 600 orc king with over 20,000 attack points. Initially, Yuya feels that he doesn't stand a chance and considers retreating. However, the orc's relentless assault on the puppy stirs his conscience, reminding him of his grandfather's teachings. Gathering his courage, Yuya charges at the orc king, intending only to distract it, but to his surprise, he takes it down with a single strike. Embarrassed that he hesitated for so long, Yuya reflects on how he had defeated an ogre while still at level 1 and begins to wonder again about the powerful sage who created his weapons. Yuya checks on the puppy, who growls at him initially but eventually passes out from its injuries. He quickly treats the puppy with a potion, and the creature begins to warm up to him. Yuya learns that the puppy, who is actually a black Fenrir, has no home, so he offers to take it in as his companion. The puppy happily agrees, and Yuya gains the taming skill, officially making the black Fenrir his companion. He names the puppy Knight inspired by its black fur, and the two bond as Knight joyfully leaps onto him. On their way back to Yuya's house, they check the loot dropped by the Orc King. Among the items, they find an S-ranked magic stone, a sword, and armor used by the Orc King. However, Yuya realizes that the gear is not usable by humans but can potentially be reforged for other purposes. There's a rare brush that can stimulate hair growth, but he only uses it for grooming. Checking his stats, he notices that he's still at level 235, puzzled as to why he didn't level up after defeating a level 600 monster. He figures he'll understand the leveling system eventually. In the real world, he leaves Knight at home and heads to school. He asks his friends if there are any nearby pet shops, revealing that he recently adopted a dog. Katie gets excited, asking to see pictures, but Yuya, feeling a bit awkward as she gets close, explains he doesn't have any since he doesn't own a smartphone. His friends find this odd, but he simply says he never needed one. They tell him about a pet shop nearby, although they can't accompany him after school. Katie offers to go with him instead, and Yuya thanks her. She wonders if it might be a date, but reassures him not to worry. At home, Knight enthusiastically greets Yuya, who shows the items Katie helped him pick out. After giving Knight a new collar, they head out for a walk to the park. People stare at Yuya, thinking he looks cool, while Knight draws attention for being cute. They run into Corey, and Yuya introduces her to Knight. She finds Knight adorable, and passersby think they make a perfect pair. Corey asks about Knight's breed, but Yuya feigns ignorance, knowing he can't reveal Knight is a Fenrir. Corey, however, can tell Knight is highly intelligent and is pleased Yuya adopted him. Then, a girl calls out to Yuya it's Mayu, the model he worked with. She reveals she lives nearby and visits the park often. Yuya introduces the two girls, drawing more attention as people recognize Miyu. To avoid causing a scene, Miyu decides to leave, but looks forward to seeing Yuya again. Afterward, Corey asks if Miyu is his girlfriend. Yuya, shocked, insists he's only met her once and that she's out of his league, though Corey doesn't agree. Suddenly, a woman screams as a man runs off with her purse. Corey wonders what to do, and Yuya tells Knight to chase the thief. They check on the woman, and Knight soon returns, dragging the thief back. Yuya asks Corey to call the police, but the thief breaks free and charges at her. Yuya quickly disarms and restrains him, impressing the crowd. Corey thanks him again for saving her. Later, Yuya continues his exploration of the dark forest with Knight, battling many monsters. They encounter another Ore King, but this time, Knight takes it down by biting its neck. While traveling further, they come across a level 630 crystal deer. Yuya, using invisibility, studies the deer's high magic stats, but it detects him anyway and charges. Yuya and Knight split up as the deer unleashes magic attacks, creating explosions. Knight lands a hit, and Yuya finishes it off. Among the item drops, a portable bath set catches Yuya's eye. It has a privacy feature and stays clean automatically, amazing Yuya. He decides to try it later at home. The next day, they face a fast-moving needle roller. Yuya initially struggles but predicts its movements, causing it to get stuck in a wall, allowing him to defeat it. Finally, Yuya levels up to 240, and Knight reaches level 510. A crack forms in the wall where the monster crashed, revealing a hidden cave. They explore it, and Yuya, detecting no enemies, enters a large room. He's shocked to find a body but notices a book beside it. It's the sage's book. As Yuya reads, he learns the sage mastered every skill and became as powerful as a god, even declining an invitation from the gods. The book warns Yuya that as he grows stronger, people around him may start to fear him. The sage's voice then tells him to find trustworthy companions. When asked, Yuya requests to learn magic, so the sage fills the book with magical knowledge. However, Yuya can't use magic since he lacks magical circuits, being from another world. The sage solves this by transferring his own magical circuits to Yuya, advising him to live a happy life. Back home, Yuya begins practicing magic, starting with sensing the magical energy around him. He quickly masters the skill of manipulating magical energy. To test his abilities, he goes outside and successfully conjures a water ball. Knight seems to be learning too. Yuya fires the water ball at a tree, amazed by its power as it destroys the tree. Meanwhile, at the royal capital, Alan reports to the king about Yuya, but when Alan mentions the princess's proposal, the king angrily assumes Yuya seduced his daughter. At school, Yuya daydreams about the sage's warning regarding magic, knowing that the techniques he's learning are rare, even in the other world. The teacher reminds them of an upcoming camping trip, assigning Yuya to a group with Katie, Akira, and a girl named Rin. Katie is excited, but Yuya admits he doesn't have camping gear, so Katie suggests they go shopping. They head to the mall, and Shingo is surprised when Corey joins them. Ryo can't believe Yuya is friends with Corey, noting that most people find her unapproachable because she's the director's daughter. Corey tells them to treat her like any other student. Yuya wonders about Akira's absence, and Shingo mentions he couldn't make it. Inside, they help Yuya pick out a backpack. Afterward, they hang out at an arcade, where Shingo gets excited about a crane game. He admits he's bad at it, so Yuya steps in, using his detect weakness skill to win a figure in one try. Katie asks him to win her a cat plush, and he does the same, easily winning it. He ends up winning prizes for all his friends, and Cory thanks him for her first arcade experience. The girls go shopping, while Yuya and the guys take a break at a cafe. Yuya reflects on how much fun he's had hanging out with friends for the first time. Suddenly, an alarm goes off, signaling a fire. Yuya worries about the girls, suspecting the fire is close to them. They find the staircase, and Ryo gets a call from Katie, saying they're trapped upstairs. Yuya races up, finding the source of the fire, but the sprinklers aren't enough to put it out. He decides to use magic, covering himself in water to run through the flames. The girls, unconscious from the smoke, are saved just in time by Yuya, who checks for others using his detection skill. Finding no one else, he uses his magic to shield the girls. However, the fire intensifies, and he fears they won't escape. Outside, Ryo and Shingo watch helplessly, telling the officers their friends are still inside. Yuya, meanwhile, searches for an exit, but the roof collapses. He dodges debris, and Cory drops the gift Yuya gave her. Realizing there's no way out, Yuya uses magic to smash through the building, creating an exit. The structure shakes, but he manages to escape with the girls. Once outside, the girls are treated, and the firefighters scold him for being reckless. Cory's father arrives, thanking Yuya for saving his daughter again. Yuya returns the honor pin he found, and Cory hugs her father, making Yuya think about what family should be like. Though he feels alone, Knight greets him warmly when he returns home, making Yuya realize they are his family. Reflecting on magic's possibilities, Yuya recalls that magic is the manifestation of imagination, prompting him to experiment with new ways to use it, including for travel. He focuses on his desired destination, eager to explore further. He successfully opens a portal, transporting him into the heart of the dark forest. He is thrilled it works, though it seems he can only travel to places he's already visited. Still, he figures he can use it to get home and feed Knight, even during his school trip. They take the opportunity to explore further, discovering a cave filled with goblins. Thanks to his legendary sword, they pose no threat, and he collects rare items using his storage skill. He feels his teamwork with Knight is improving. Exiting the cave, Yuya suggests calling it a day, but Knight, eager to continue, runs off. Chasing after him, Yuya realizes Knight senses something ahead. Using his invisibility skill, he proceeds cautiously and finds a girl injured and facing off against several goblins. Yuya wants to help, but Knight holds him back. The elite goblin attacks, knocking down a tree, but some mysterious threads stop it. The girl fights back, cutting off the goblin's arm. Curious about the threads, Yuya watches as the goblins leap at her. She defends herself with the threads, but the elite goblin lands a hit, knocking her out. As the goblin closes in, Yuya steps in with Knight, defeating the goblins. However, more goblins appear, forcing Yuya to use his divine whip, crushing them all in a single attack. He realizes how overpowered it is, as it never misses and hits multiple targets at once. After the battle, Yuya debates what to do with the girl. He considers taking her to his house, but Knight disagrees. Before he can decide, she wakes up, surprised to be carried by him. She falls to the ground, and Yuya offers her his healing juice, which instantly heals her wounds. The girl is shocked at its effectiveness and asks who he is. Yuya introduces himself and Knight, though Knight remains hostile. The girl introduces herself as Luna, explaining she was training in the forest when the elite goblin ambushed her. Yuya mentions he was also training, and Luna apologizes for her appearance, asking if there's a river nearby to clean up. Instead, Yuya offers her a bath from his storage. Luna is amazed by the rarity of the item, impressed that Yuya defeated a crystal deer to obtain it. As they talk, Luna reveals she's on a mission for a client, though Yuya doesn't catch the details. She asks if he will join her in training, and Yuya feels bad for leaving her to train alone, so he agrees. They train together, and Luna teaches him some techniques while they both grow stronger. Luna impresses Yuya by defeating a goblin with her threads. She humbly admits she has a long way to go, needing more strength to complete her mission. When Yuya explains he has to leave for his school trip, it doesn't make much sense to her, but she thanks him for his help. On the final day of training, Yuya relaxes in the bath, but Luna joins him, causing Yuya to feel embarrassed. She clings to him, expressing how much their time together has meant to her. She offers to wash his back, but her towel slips, further embarrassing Yuya. During the school trip, Yuya plays cards with his friends, and Kaidi notices he looks tired. Yuya admits he didn't get much sleep the night before. After winning 5 games in a row, Yuya thinks the game must be based on luck. As he drifts to sleep, he wonders if his luck stat influenced his recent encounters, including his time with Luna. The students arrive at their destination and change into their camping gear. The teacher explains they'll camp for 2 days and must survive using the land, with fish and plants available for food. Some students worry about poisonous plants, but Sawada assures them the school doctor is on standby, though her reputation makes them nervous. Akira suggests skipping food for a day, but Sawada emphasizes it's part of the lesson, even revealing it's a competition between classes. Yuya asks if there's a reward, but Sawada admits it's linked to her bonus, encouraging them to do their best. In the forest, Yui asks what to do first. Akira is overconfident, but the others ignore him. Rin suggests Yuya and Kaidi fish while she and Akira search for plants. At the river, Kaidi thinks they're too slow, and Ryo mentions all the good spots are taken. Yuya uses his detection skill and finds a new fishing spot. Kaidi doubts their fishing poles will work in the shallow water, but Yuya jumps in, recalling what Luna taught him about predicting a monster's behavior. He catches fish with his hands, impressing Kaidi. The other students are stunned, and Kaidi thinks Yuya has caught too many. Yuya, realizing he got carried away, mentally thanks Luna for her advice. Meanwhile, in a dark town, Luna, now revealed as an assassin, uses her threads to decapitate puppets in a shop. She reflects on how her power has grown and recalls her time with Yuya. She wishes she had met him sooner, feeling her life might have turned out differently. However, she knows she must move on, preparing for her next target as the headhunter. Back at the campsite, Yuya and Kaidi reunite with Rin, showing her their catch. Rin is impressed Yuya caught everything by hand. Yuya checks on Akira, who complains Rin made him test mushrooms for poison and act as a bear decoy. Yuya checks Akira's stats, relieved he isn't poisoned. Rin and Akira show the plants they've gathered, and Yuya uses his skill to discard the poisonous ones. The group heads back to camp to show their haul. At camp, Yuya bumps into Kori, and they discuss how their groups are doing. Kori is called back by her team, and Akira, envious of Yuya's closeness to her, wishes he could be more like him. Sawada inspects their food and praises them for gathering a large amount of safe-to-eat ingredients, getting excited about her bonus. She reminds them that their cooking skills will also be graded. When asked who will cook, everyone points at Yuya. Sawada encourages him, openly linking her bonus to his performance, which makes Yuya uncomfortable. Yuya prepares the meal with ease, thanks to his experience cooking alone and in the other world. His team digs in, waiting for his reaction, but Sawada, slightly tipsy, appears and tries the food. Yuya anxiously watches for her response, and to his relief, they all find it delicious. Sawada even says it's better than the school's chef-prepared meals, wondering how it's possible. Yuya, used to cooking only for himself, is happy to see others enjoy his food. After the meal, Sawada jokingly asks if Yuya will marry her, shocking everyone. She explains she can't cook or clean, having always focused on research, and after tasting his food, she thinks he's perfect husband material. Everyone protests the idea, and Kaidi claims Yuya isn't suitable for marriage, leaving him doubting himself. Nevertheless, Sawada insists she'll wait for him. Yuya feels uneasy, concerned it might not be appropriate since she is his teacher, but tells her he thinks she's a great teacher. Sawada, overjoyed, pulls him into an embrace, pressing him against her chest while Kei tries to pull him away, and Akira believes Yuya is the luckiest guy alive. Later that night, Yuya teleports back home to check on Night. Using food from his storage, he quickly prepares a meal for Night, reflecting on how much he enjoys making others happy with his cooking. Afterward, he returns to camp, where everyone is showering together. As he arrives, everyone stares at him, leaving Yuya confused. Akira comments on how impressive Yuya's physique is, wondering how he got so ripped and handsome. Meanwhile, in the girls' bathroom, Rin teases Cade, saying all the boys must be into her. They encounter Kaori, who mentions that Sawada wants to marry Yuya, surprising Kaori. The girls discuss how Sawada might have an advantage, and Cade seems motivated to make her own move on Yuya. Kaori wonders if she's interested in him, but quickly denies it, though Rin believes she's being too obvious. Kaori, on the other hand, wonders about Yuya's taste in girls. The next morning, some students discover their belongings have been trashed and suspect a thief. Akira looks worried, while Yuya ensures everything is accounted for. As they search for breakfast, Akira grows scared upon noticing claw marks on a tree. Yuya recalls how Akira mentioned being used as bait for bears and quickly pieces together what's happening. Suddenly, a bear appears, and the girls run in panic. Sawada signals everyone to take cover, but as they run, she stumbles, and the bear lunges at her. Yuya intervenes, wrestling the bear to the ground and knocking it out. He checks on Sawada, who says she'd normally scold him for fighting a bear, but since he saved her life, she lets it slide, jokingly offering to marry him again, which Yuya politely declines. Yuya then wonders what will happen to the bear, and Kaori explains they'll keep it as a guard bear, and if it misbehaves, they'll simply eat it. The bear seems to understand, and the issue is resolved as the camping trip ends. Back home, Yuya prepares to meet the king in the other world. On his way, he encounters a group of demons in the forest. Realizing it would be dangerous if Lexia's group crossed paths with them, he decides to take action, with Knight attacking one while Yuya throws his spear. When the demon catches the spear, Yuya switches to a hammer, crushing the demon and clearing the area. Impressed by the power of the sage's weapons, he picks up an unusual helmet dropped by the demon and tries it on. Meanwhile, a strange rabbit watches him. Thinking Yuya is the one, Lexia's group arrives, and Owen expresses concern, which Yuya realizes is because of the helmet. He removes it, and they are relieved. They invite Yuya to join them at the palace, but just as they do, Knight jumps on Lexia, saving her from a falling tree. Yuya quickly slices the tree in half, recognizing the threads as those used by Luna. Luna curses her failure and tries to escape but is knocked out by Yuya. Surprised, Yuya identifies her as Luna, the one who had tried to attack Lexia. Knight had sensed this all along. Yuya asks Lexia for permission to heal Luna and take her back to his home for questioning. Lexia agrees, not believing Luna is inherently evil. They teleport back, leaving Owen behind, and Lexia is amazed by Yuya's teleportation. When Luna wakes up, Lexia confronts her, but Luna insists there's no point in explaining. She believes she deserves death for her failures. Yuya, however, asks about her past. Luna reveals that she was once an orphan, taken in by a man who taught her how to read, write, and become an assassin. Eventually, she joined the Dark Guild and gained notoriety as the headhunter. Lexia is shocked, recognizing the name, and Yuya realizes this explains Knight's initial hostility toward Luna. She then reveals that her mission was to assassinate Lexia, but now that she's failed, her fate is sealed either by execution or by the Dark Guild's assassins. Yuya feels concerned for Luna, but she wonders why he cares. Despite their short time together, Yuya tells her it meant a lot to him, and he sees her as a friend. Luna, feeling hopeless, is interrupted by Lexia, who offers her a new purpose as her bodyguard. Luna is initially resistant, but Lexia insists, explaining that if only they know about the assassination attempt, Luna could stay safe from the Dark Guild. Luna, although conflicted, eventually agrees to Lexia's plan, accepting her new role as both bodyguard and rival in Lexia's pursuit of Yuya's affection. Lexia insists on trying the bath that Luna mentioned, one that restores beauty and health. She invites Yuya, but Yuya awkwardly declines, feeling embarrassed. As the girls enjoy the bath, Lexia suddenly asks Luna if she likes Yuya. Luna denies it, but Lexia declares her intention to marry Yuya, sparking a playful rivalry between the two. Afterward, Lexia attempts to help with dinner but struggles so much that Yuya takes over. During the meal, Luna playfully asks Yuya to feed her, using her injuries as an excuse. Lexia, jealous, demands the same treatment, using her royal authority to compel Yuya to comply. The next day, they reunite with Owen and his men. Yuya apologizes for leaving them behind, and after introductions, Owen thanks Yuya for protecting Lexia the previous day. He then becomes curious about Luna's identity. Lexia bluntly reveals that she was once an assassin tasked with killing her, but will now serve as her bodyguard. Everyone is stunned by this sudden confession, and Luna is shocked at how quickly Lexia disclosed such a secret. Owen immediately surrounds her. Lexia calmly tells him to stand down. Alan, however, refuses to trust her, saying it's too risky. Lexia then points out that since they've already shared a bed, Luna would have killed her by now if that was her intention. Reluctantly, Alan agrees to keep an eye on her. Yuya suddenly interrupts, saying he can't accompany them to the palace due to the extra day spent at the house, as he needs to return to school. Owen assures him he can visit anytime and directs him to a village where he can get directions to the capital. Lexia bids Yuya farewell, urging him to visit again soon. As they part ways, Luna unexpectedly runs back to Yuya, kisses him, and thanks him for everything. Lexia is crushed, demanding to go back and kiss Yuya as well, but Owen feigns ignorance and continues on. Later, Yuya reflects on the kiss, wondering if Luna has feelings for him, but decides to relax by taking a bath. While in the bath, Yuya discovers a strange creature that has snuck in, and he gets a notification saying he has tamed it. The creature is initially confused but accepts its new role. Yuya decides to check its stats, noticing his appraisal skill has leveled up, allowing him to see the creature's abilities. One of its skills, called Holy Ground, intrigues him, and the creature demonstrates by creating a glowing field of light that boosts Yuya's abilities. Impressed, Yuya names the creature Akatsuki. Later, Yuya fights a skeleton monster but feels he hasn't grown stronger. He ventures deeper into the forest, finding an area filled with indestructible black trees. Yuya ponders how Akatsuki became so large, he is attacked by a mithril boar. Despite his efforts to heal, the boar continues to overpower him. Just when Yuya thinks he's done for, the boar is sent flying by a mysterious rabbit named Usagi, who introduces himself, and Yuya, impressed, checks his stats. Usagi is revealed to be incredibly powerful with numerous titles. Grateful for the help, Yuya shows Usagi his kick. Usagi, seeing potential in him, begins training Yuya, demonstrating his own kick by obliterating several trees. Yuya, after some time, manages to destroy one tree and begins sparring with Usagi. Usagi reveals that he is a divine kicker, a title given to those who master their craft, and Usagi explains the existence of stronger, legendary ranked monsters known as Vile, and he wants Yuya to be his successor, so that he can protect everyone against them. Though reluctant, Yuya agrees to the training, motivated by his desire to protect Knight and Akatsuki. Later, Yuya faces a rematch with the King Mithril Boar, successfully defeating it with his kicks and whip. Yuya then receives a notification about evolving and gains new abilities without any change in appearance. Back at school, Yuya competes in a table tennis match against a national champion, easily returning his serves. However, not wanting to injure anyone, Yuya forfeits the match, and the photographers complain they couldn't capture his movements. Cade then drags Yuya to a volleyball game, where the ball and net are destroyed due to his strength. The photographers, distracted again, miss the shot. Kaori and Yuya walk home together, and she thanks him for his help. Yuya brushes it off, saying he's happy just being with her. Kaori kisses him in gratitude. Meanwhile, in the other world, Usagi battles a member of the Vile and thanks Yuya for teaching him magic. The enemy, realizing Yuya's strength, leaves to target him directly. Back at Yuya's house, he and Kaori study together. Kaori finds his pets adorable and asks to use the restroom but accidentally stumbles upon the door to the other world. Yuya explains the door's magical nature. Kaori is stunned by the revelation, and Yuya offers to give her a tour of the other world. Taking her hand, they cross over to this new world. Kaori is amazed that it truly exists. Yuya explains that both Knight and Akatsuki originate from this world. He adds that Knight is a Fenrir, which resembles a wolf, while Akatsuki is somewhat like a pig, though Akatsuki is offended by the comparison. Suddenly, Kaori's status window appears, and Yuya explains that abilities in this world are measured by stats. He's surprised to see her starting stats far exceed his when he first arrived, as he began with just 1 point in each category. He shares how he leveled up in this world and how it transformed his appearance, making him feel like he cheated and wouldn't have been accepted otherwise. Kaori shifts the conversation by asking to explore more of the world. Yuya, mentioning that it's dangerous outside the barrier of his home, agrees to show her more another time. She insists with a pinky promise, and Yuya asks her to keep a secret, making her feel a special connection with him. She starts to grow closer to him. Meanwhile, in the capital, Lexia returns to the palace, and her father, the king, notices Yuya isn't with them. Owen explains that their plans had to change, and the king wonders if it has anything to do with Luna. Luna admits to attempting to assassinate Lexia. The king, enraged, draws his sword to execute her, but he halts when she cleverly counters his attack, showing her skill. Lexia, furious with her father, defends Luna, saying it was her choice to make her a guard and threatening to hate him if he harmed her. The king, devastated, relents and accepts Luna as one of Lexia's guards. Following this, the king questions Owen about Luna's past, learning that she was once a feared headhunter for a dark guild. He wonders how Yuya is connected to all this, and Owen explains that Yuya was the one who captured Luna and brought both her and Lexia back to his house. The king is outraged upon hearing that Lexia stayed overnight at a man's home and threatens to kill Yuya, although Owen assures him that nothing inappropriate occurred. However, the king isn't convinced. We then see the masked man who once tried to kill Lexia, who is revealed to be the first prince, Rhaegar. His subordinate informs him that a noble hired Luna to assassinate Lexia, but the attempt failed due to Yuya's interference. Additionally, Luna has now joined Lexia's side as her guard. Rhaegar, intrigued by this development, devises a plan and gives his subordinate a magic sealing barrier capable of disabling all magic within its range. Rhaegar intends to use this to weaken the king's guards and mages, leaving only Owen and Luna to be dealt with. His subordinate expresses concern about the plan's risk, but Rhaegar remains confident, believing they could pin the blame on Yuya when he visits the capital. Yuya receives an extra day off following the Academy's competition and prepares for his visit to the capital. He does some farming, defeating a sheep monster that drops a rare bedding item with magical properties for the perfect sleep. He heads to a nearby town, where he is surprised to see cat girls living in this world. Arriving at the guild, Yuya hopes to trade goods, as he has no local currency. The guild master is puzzled by Yuya's strange name and origin. Yuya claims he's from a small island. The master, impressed by Yuya's noble-like appearance, doesn't believe his humble claims. When Yuya displays his item box skill, the master is amazed, especially when Yuya presents a bunch of high-quality peppers. Yuya, thinking they were just ordinary peppers, is offered 100 gold coins, which he later learns is a fortune enough to support a family for 20 years. The guild master gives Yuya a guild card for identification and explains how to get to the capital by stagecoach. Once there, Yuya marvels at the bustling crowds, and Akatsuki points out the palace, making Yuya nervous about fitting in. He's greeted by Owen, who reassures him that the meeting with the king is informal. Inside, Lexia and Luna await him, and Yuya respectfully greets the king, who immediately brings up Lexia's marriage proposal. The king loses his temper, accusing Yuya of seducing his daughter, but Owen manages to calm him down. However, the king becomes irritated when Yuya offers Lexia a bedding set from the sheep monster, as gifting bedding implies marriage in their culture. Realizing his blunder, Yuya is almost attacked by the king, but assassins suddenly strike. The king orders his guards to retaliate, but the magic sealing barrier is activated, rendering their defenses useless. Yuya, however, manages to defeat the attackers with ease alongside Knight. Lexia clings to him in gratitude, while Luna, jealous, tries to intervene. Owen identifies an emblem on one of the attackers, revealing Rhaegar's involvement in the plot. News of the attack spreads, and the king isolates himself in his chambers. Yuya contemplates his next move, and Owen asks him to help protect Lexia. Yuya, hesitant at first, seeks her out but hesitates to enter her room. Lexia suddenly emerges, suggesting they explore the capital. Luna reminds her of the danger, but Lexia, eager to go outside, argues that if her brother sends more assassins, he would be exposing himself. Luna reluctantly agrees, but Lexia's true intention is simply to get out. Luna offers to show Yuya around instead, but Lexia refuses, determined not to leave them alone together. Owen then proposes that he accompany Yuya, but both girls reject his offer. In the end, they all venture into the capital, with Owen watching from afar. The girls argue over where to take Yuya. Lexia wants to visit the jewelers, while Luna has other ideas, drawing attention from onlookers who mistake Yuya for a noble due to his company of two beautiful women. During their tour, Yuya expresses interest in the Adventurers Guild, revealing that he registered with the Merchants Guild earlier. Luna suggests he register as an adventurer as well, noting that it will make trading monster materials easier and provide opportunities to earn money from quests. She decides to register herself so she can accompany him on quests, to Lexia's dismay. They meet Emilia, the clerk, who provides the application forms. When Yuya reaches the question about magic, he recalls the sage's warning that their common knowledge about magic is limited, so he lists only wind, fire, and water, omitting his full abilities. The next part of the form involves measuring magical energy. Emilia explains that they use a crystal ball for this purpose. Luna's energy glows yellow, as she admits she's never been great with magic. When Yuya takes his turn, the ball shatters, shocking everyone. Emilia retests him, but the same thing happens. Yuya, feeling guilty, offers to pay for the damage, but Emilia reassures him it's fine. She's further amazed when she sees Yuya can use 3 types of magic, a rarity in their world, as most people with such abilities are considered legends. Lexia is impressed, and Yuya, relieved he didn't reveal his full powers, thanks Emilia as they finish the registration process. The group sets off on their first quest gathering herbs. Lexia proposes a competition with Luna to see who can gather the most valuable herbs, with the winner earning a day-long date with Yuya. Suddenly, Owen rushes over, announcing they've found the location of the first prince and requesting Yuya's assistance. Lexia and Luna return to the castle, while Yuya and Owen head out. They arrive at an abandoned house, which seems eerily quiet. Owen speculates that earlier soldiers might have already captured the prince. But as they enter, a knife immediately strikes one of the soldiers. Inside, they find the prince threatening a guard. Yuya's instincts kick in, allowing him to save the guard just in time. Surrounded, the prince refuses to surrender and slashes at them. In despair, he contemplates ending his believing he's worthless. Owen is unsure how to handle the situation, but Yuya swiftly intervenes to stop him. The prince tries to attack but is quickly subdued. Owen thanks Yuya, and they prepare to take the prince away when suddenly the house explodes. The prince is relieved to see a girl from his past, but she coldly assesses the situation and declares him useless, having failed her. Shocked, the prince realizes she was never trying to help him become king. Her true plan was to incite war and cause as much death as possible. Betrayed and devastated, the prince watches as she prepares to kill him. Alan tries to intervene but is stopped by an arrow. Yuya wonders where it came from, but the girl unleashes a barrage of arrows. She reveals that her goal is to annihilate humanity, and her ability to predict their movements makes her a dangerous foe. As she prepares for a final assault, Yuya uses his magic to deflect all the arrows, saving everyone. The girl recognizes Yuya as the one she's been searching for, but she retreats for now, having exhausted too much of her power. After the confrontation, the prince, Rhaegar, is brought before the king. When his mask and clothes are removed, his body is revealed to be covered in scars. Lexia struggles to look at him, knowing she's responsible for his injuries after losing control of her magic. Rhaegar was caught in the blast, which drove him to madness, seeking destruction as the only way to suppress the urge instilled by her magic. He blames the king for not helping him and for isolating him from the public. Yuya empathizes with Rhaegar, who now begs for death to end his suffering. But Yuya offers a solution. He pulls out his healing juice. Though Rhaegar resists at first, his scars are completely healed, leaving everyone stunned. Rhaegar is astonished to see his reflection, while Yuya explains that the juice is made from the rare cure-all herb, which he grows in his garden. Though healed, Rhaegar still faces execution for his crimes, having made multiple assassination attempts. Lexia, however, declares that since the attempts were against her, she will pardon him. The king objects, pointing out that Rhaegar also attacked him, but Lexia insists on forgiveness, and the king reluctantly agrees. Rhaegar's sentence is lifted, and the king considers how to reward Yuya. Lexia suggests offering her hand in marriage, and Luna echoes the sentiment. However, the king instead grants Yuya the title of Lord Knight, along with land and a mansion. That night, Yuya returns to his room and falls into a deep sleep, only to be haunted by dreams of a battle with the mysterious girl. Defeated in his dream, he awakens at school the next day. His friends invite him to hang out, but Yuya rushes home, preoccupied with thoughts of the girl. Determined to prepare for their next encounter, he trains hard in the other world. During his training, he and Knight sense danger and are suddenly attacked. The girl reappears, revealing that she seeks revenge and sees Yuya as a threat to her plans. Meanwhile, Corey visits Yuya's house to study, only to find the door open. She enters the other world in search of him, hearing explosions in the distance. The girl launches a barrage of arrows at Yuya, but he and Knight manage to land a hit on her. Impressed, the girl realizes she must take him out before he grows stronger. As she attacks again, Yuya notices Corey nearby and shields her from an explosion. The girl prepares to unleash her strongest attack, but Usagi arrives just in time to block it. Apologizing for his lateness, Usagi reveals that the girl's name is Yudi, the disciple of the divine archer. Yudi, driven by vengeance, explains that humans betrayed her master, leading to his death. Usagi tries to reason with her, reminding her of the divine's covenant to protect the planet, but Yudi dismisses it, stating that she never fully accepted the title and thus isn't bound by the same rules. As they fight, Yuya imitates one of Usagi's moves, creating an opening that allows Usagi to land a blow on Yuri. Despite the setback, Yuri refuses to abandon her quest for revenge, tapping into the power of the vial. She unleashes a powerful scream that nearly overwhelms Yuya, but Akatsuki suddenly arrives, using his holy ground skill to neutralize Yuri's powers. Weakened, Yuri is left to Yuya's mercy. As Kori rushes over, a monster suddenly appears behind her, but Yuya takes it out with one shot. In shock, Kori listens as Yuya explains his life in this other world. Worried she might be scared of him after seeing him kill, he admits his insecurities, thinking that his newfound powers make him seem like a cheater. But Kori reassures him, saying he hasn't changed at all since the day he saved her, and that she's admired him ever since.